Next panel discussion: how technology startups are shaping the future of sustainable solutions, innovation, challenges, and impact. In order to take over the panel, can we have on stage Mr. Anoop P. Ambika, CEO, Kerala Startup Mission, a serial entrepreneur and technology enthusiast who has co-founded multiple technology startups and currently heads the Kerala Startup Mission. Good evening and welcome, sir. Our speakers for the session are Mr. Aatitiyan VS, welcome, the founder of Cooked, a progressive food ingredient brand in India that integrates technology and culinary expertise with over 1,000 recipe videos on the app. The app has a dedicated following of 2 million enthusiasts.
No, that's 2.5 years back.
Okay, I need to update. What is the number now?
4 million.
Oh, we have crossed 4 million enthusiasts. Congratulations. And now we have the next speaker, Mr. Bhamidi, co-founder Radarr, 25 years of rich industry experience. Radarr, of course, an AI-powered social listening and customer engagement platform, which is the Bloomberg terminal for marketers. Welcome. Can we have Ms. Nikita, Bhargav, founder Nittygritti, on stage? A decade of experience in e-commerce, marketing and creative direction, who excels in using the proprietary tool Diligence. So we have an illustrious panel ready. I hand the floor over to the moderator.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I was actually looking at this hall. There was a time when I used to come for Tycons and sit at that dark corners in the back. And I can tell you, it's so easy to get, comfortable and doze off in that part of town, especially when you're towards the end of the game, when people are tired after a day of deliberations and things like that. So I was telling all of them that maybe it's a good idea to make it a little interactive. But Nikita was telling me that she was here whole day and she didn't hear really questions coming from the audience at all. It was mostly, gyan being distributed and no interaction. So I was just wondering if with the people that are out here, we could, start interacting a little bit, ask questions, because you need to take something back. Some information that you can actually put to practice. So here is how we are going to do it. We are going to actually have the speakers introduce themselves, talk a little bit about the journey, about what they are doing, and how has been the journey so far. And once they have done that, probably we'll take 15 minutes for that, and maybe we can actually interact a little bit between ourselves for the first 15 minutes. And then after that, actually, I will open up the floor for any questions. Any questions? What do you want to know about starting up, right? Anybody wants to know anything about it? Want to talk about problems that you had, and then let's see what will come out of it. And then towards the end of the game, maybe we'll start, talking about some more stuff. If the questions are over, and if there are no questions, then we'll get into some of the finer aspects of your journey, the finer aspects of entrepreneurship. So with that, I think, ladies first, why don't you go first and introduce yourself, Nikita, tell a little bit about your journey, where you are at this point of time, and, the story of Nittygritti, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks, Anoop. Can you hear me? Okay. Hi, my name is Nikita. I'm the co-founder of Nittygritti. Nittygritti is the world's best content optimization platform for brands. It's powered by AI. A little bit more on myself. 25 plus years of experience. Started out with Ogilvy, then moved to consulting. And my last 10 years was in e-commerce. My last 6 was at Amazon. I was part of the founding team that started Amazon India. I launched about 9 categories at Amazon, after which I headed a program called Amazon Selects. It was to help large brands scale up on Amazon, because way back in 2014, brands were not excited about being on Amazon because the marketplace was flooded with low-price products, and brands were not happy being seen alongside that. So that's what we solved for the larger brands. Started Nittygritti in the midst of the pandemic, when brands were forced to come online, the ones who were not online, customers were forced to shop online. And we realized that the detail page, or the product detail page, the listing page, that's what various people call it, is the page where customers actually land. And there was no metric to actually measure whether that page was optimized or not. We said, let's try and see if there's something existing in the market. And finally, there was nothing. So we built a product. We took it to market, MVP stage for 2 years. We kept building, taking it back, brought in a lot of insights from what brands had to say. And then we finally now have a SaaS version. This year was a game changer for us, and I think KSM has a lot to do with it. We got a grant from Startup India, and I think KSM's been an absolutely wonderful incubator for us. So thank you, Anoop, for that. I think both your team members are fantastic, the ones we deal with. Jinesh and Divya, I'm calling them out because I specifically think haven't met better folks in this space. They also introduced us to Kerala Angel Network. We raised a little bit of money with them. Again, two wonderful people, Deepak and Kamath. Great people to have on board with us, have been fantastic supporters. The tool currently, the platform currently has evolved with the growth of ChatGPT. We've brought in content optimization also. So when I mean content optimization, at a click of a button, the 200 parameters that your product goes through now can generate AI-generated content, which is optimized. Now, you would wonder, why is optimization actually important? I mean, it is because it has a whole lot of downstream impact on multiple factors, right from how your product is discovered, what people are talking about you. It's going to affect your ratings and star reviews. It's going to impact product returns, which is a pain point across both marketplaces and sellers. And the big one, it impacts conversion. So if any of you are listed on Amazon, listed on any marketplace, doing well, not doing well, talk to me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think now we'll move on to Ram from Radarr.
Yeah, thank you, Anoop. I hope everyone can hear me loud and clear. My name is Ram. I've had the privilege of good education. When I was growing up, my father was in the Air Force, studied in KVs, went to IIT Kharagpur after that, went to IIM Ahmedabad after that. I worked till I got to 40, which was 10 years ago. I set up Radarr, which was then called Circus Social. We were a services company. But before that, I dabbled around in the corporate space for a very long time, did a lot of interesting things, everything at the intersection of technology and business. I had the privilege of both a technical education as well as a management education. So kind of used all of that. Did really interesting work across many different companies. I was in UK for 10 years, came back and worked with Shaadi.com for a couple of years as head of online marketing, and then relocated to Bangalore to set up what was then called Circus Social, and we rebranded to Radarr 2-3 years ago. So what do we do? When we first started, I did some really interesting things with social. My first social media account was in 2003 on Orkut, followed by LinkedIn in 2004, and so on and so forth. I've seen the good and the bad of social media. Like, so when it was time to set up a business, I knew that it had to be something which involved tech, involved social, and involved me providing some kind of a valuable product or service to enterprises. All that worked in B2C companies, I was clear that B2B was where my calling really was. So when we started, we did social media applications for other companies for a few years. We pivoted into being a platform. We saw there was a specific need, especially in Asia. So we created a platform. So what we are today, we are an AI-powered social listening and customer engagement platform. We have clients in more than 15 countries. We are headquartered in Singapore, have an office in Bangalore, and we work typically with mid to large size enterprise clients. We help them get a lot of insights. There are 4 billion social media conversations every single day. A lot of these are useful if you're trying to track what's happening with your brand, if you're trying to track what's happening with your competitors, what's happening in the industry in general. There's a lot of data over there. In the good old days, marketers would go out with questionnaires and get people to fill up surveys. It's no longer required because organically there is so much data that's being created. Text, images, videos. There's a lot of insights that can be had. So we're basically doing that. We've been AI powered for 5 years, long before LLM became a fancy word and ChatGPT became a fancy word. But we're definitely using a lot of LLM today than what we were using before. There's a lot of social media data in the form of text. A lot of this is vernacular, not just English, but other languages. The ability to automatically process all of this using tech, the ability to understand all of this at scale. Sentiments, for example, right? The other day, there was a message. Somebody was thanking an airline for losing their luggage, right? And the agent responded saying, "You're welcome." Right? Imagine what happens after that. It was being sarcastically said. Nobody's happy that their luggage was lost, right? That kind of stuff, agents get it wrong. How do you get a system to get all of that right? So we've been working on that. We have a cutting-edge platform. It's powered by AI. And this was the 10th year of our foundation. So we're pretty excited and happy to see what comes from here.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Ram. Food is something that we
probably
all...
I am the only one who's going to give an introduction without the word AI.
Okay. But food is something that we all hold very close to our heart.
Hopefully, it outlives AI.
I'm pretty sure that everybody is very keen on listening to your story. So go ahead, Aatitiyan.
Yeah. Before I start, how many of you here cook? Okay. How many of you know the brand Cooked? I see some investors. So my name is Adi. I run this company called Cooked. I would call Cooked as a cooking enabler, where essentially people like you and me who want to cook, or a typical home cook who needs to cook, anytime someone like us step into the kitchen, they have to turn up with a tasty and a delicious meal. And that's what we help them do at Cooked through 3 different things: through recipes and recipe videos, through our recipe app and platform, through the products that we have launched in the market called recipe mixes. These are first of its kind. A bunch of these products are things that have not been there in the market. So how the typical funnel works is people find us on social media. We started with a few videos. Now, 3 years down the line, we have more than 2,000 recipe videos that we have created. Every day we put out 2 new videos on social media. People find us there. They discover the brand Cooked. On a monthly basis, we do about 9 to 10 crore video views on all social media platforms, which leads them to find our app and about our products. So we use these insights that we gain from social media to identify what are the gaps that are there in the market, what are the products that people are looking for, or what are the kind of dishes that people are making where they don't have any solutions in the market to make those dishes, and we try to create those as products. For example, the first product that we created was a product called Fried Chicken Kit. People want to make fried chicken at home, but you need 30 different ingredients to make. So we essentially created 3 different ingredients, put it in a box, and call it as a fried chicken kit. 1 year down the line since we launched, we have 13 different products. We have a bunch of interesting products like a shawarma kit, a talasheri biryani kit, all those launching in the next year. I would say at least 60-70% of our products are first of its kind, and some of it are things that probably exist in the market, but we have obviously made it better. Essentially what we're trying to do is we're trying to build the next generation of consumer brand, catering to the needs of the current generation of consumers who want to make delicious meals at home. And the way we build the brand is through social media. On a monthly basis, about 50-60,000 people use Cooked app to make their meals. We cater our products to about 15,000 people. That's the number of orders that we did last month, using which about 50 to 60,000 meals that are made using Cooked products every month. That's the scale we are in.
Fantastic. Thank you. So I think for the benefit of, I'm not able to see, it's already 27 minutes. Oh, 27 minutes left. Okay. So I guess I'll just give a little bit of a brief on what I understood from what you said. Obviously, I would like to flaunt in front of my wife saying that I'm a great cook, even though I have no idea how to cook. So he will give me a kit which will help me make chicken fry in 15 minutes with the recipe to do it, and then I can go tell my wife that here is chicken fry for you. I made it all by myself. Ram, that's
exactly
pretty much it. You'll make somebody feel like he's a great cook. Yes, thank you. The second one, Radarr, is, I'm pretty certain I was telling him that sprinkler is a very common name here in Kerala. Many people have heard about it. So it's more about brand management, brand equity, competitive analysis, comparisons, and it's a huge market. And I think what Ram is doing is there's a large or a big difference between the US English and the UK English versus the South Asia, Southeast Asian countries, and the way in which English is being spoken and the language is being spoken and all the vernacular mixes that will come into the unstructured text. It becomes very difficult about whether you're actually appreciating or making a negative comment about the product or a customer. He'll be on the lookout, his platform will be on the lookout for you, try and figure out if there are any signals and then bring it in front of you, and that will be value for you. And Nittygritti is, that's where I think immense possibilities are going to emerge with, not only with ChatGPT, but the rest of the things, right? I look at Amazon, most of the times I'm afraid to buy online because I'm afraid whether I'll get a product that will not fit me, right? And what would I like to have? I would like to have a system which will just perfectly display me with the shirt or pants or whatever I'm trying to buy. And that is where you're going. And obviously you're starting with the text that will form good part of the catalog. And she has got around 200 parameters that she's looking at about your product catalog and making it very ready for the consumer. That is text at this point of time. It'll be images the next 6 months, and probably videos and immersive experiences in the years to come. And that's where when I look at Nittygritti and say, tell me how this shirt will look on me, and you will give me the exact piece, and I can pick up the right product out of Amazon or any platform for that matter, any D2C platform for that matter. And ONDC is coming. So you're going to have a great opportunity in that fashion. I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to ask the audience if you have any questions about starting up, any questions about funding, any questions about co-founders, anything at all, so that we have 3 great entrepreneurs on the stage who will be able to answer your questions. Somebody would be nice.
I know. Hello. Okay, this is not working. Yeah, that's working. Hello? Oh, okay, cool.
It is.
My name is Varun. I run a sustainability startup in ESG FinTech. It's an early stage startup. The question is to Radarr. Sorry, I forgot your name. I'm nervous maybe. I'm starting here and it happens.
Ram is the name.
Ram, okay, thank you. Thank you, sir. We are looking at media monitoring for sustainability related use cases. Yeah. So we looked at RepRisk, Sesam, probably some of these companies that are well funded, you probably will know. Because it's very contextual when it comes to sustainability. A lot of different topics, it's evolving. Regulations are constantly moving. Now, the challenge that we're facing, we're looking for tools like what you do in terms of bringing in risk level information for banks, for transactional as well as supply chain, because they need to make efficient decisions around it. Yeah, so just to focus on the question here, how difficult is it to bring in that context? Do you have the technology, advanced technology available yet to bring in, monitoring is one side, but bringing into like accuracy, that is what is needed to help day-to-day users make decisions, right? So media monitoring around sustainability metrics that helps day-to-day users at the banks and the corporates to make decisions.
Okay, Varun, right?
Yes, sir. Yes,
okay. Very interesting question, Varun. And I'll be very transparent and honest. I don't know the answer. Okay, but I will back it up with a 2-minute speech, maybe. Okay, so what we do today is we are crawling everything that's publicly available, right? There are 4 billion social media messages every single day. About 30% of that is publicly available. or 35% maybe is publicly available. We're still talking about 1.5 to 2 billion messages every single day, right? So the technology to detect, find signals that you want to track. So at Radarr, that's what we do, right? Radarr is, we get you the signals that you want, right? So in this case, social media, how do you get those 10,000 or 100,000 or 500,000 messages that are related to sustainability in a specific country, talking about maybe a specific context, right? So if people are talking about it already, it's possible to get that data. That's already a solved kind of a problem. It doesn't matter what language it is in. It doesn't matter which part of the world that conversation is happening in. It's already possible to get that as long as the data is publicly available, right? So we do that for social. We also do that for other places like blogs, forums, media monitoring, for example, news sites, right? We track over 100,000 news sites in Asia. We are primarily Asia focused for the reasons that Anoop mentioned, you know, the nuances of Asian languages and how do you understand those languages and process those languages and make sure that you're doing a better job than some of your competitors in the West, right? We focus on that. So let's focus on that. So if it's publicly being discussed, it's possible to get the data, process the data, run AI, machine learning, and build the context. So we have conversation clusters around any topic, right? We have clients across industries. We have government clients, NGOs, FMCG, automotive. So it's, as long as there are conversations happening about it, we know that we will be able to get what you want. One of our clients is tracking anti-smoking activities, for example. What kind of discussions are happening about smoking so that they could use that information to maybe lobby against smoking with certain governments, right? That data is also available, right? So the easy part is if the discussion is already happening, and we can do a dipstick to find out if that is happening, then we know we can get the context around sustainability, specific countries, specific topic, and do all of that. The second part of what you asked, Varun, was, can we integrate this with other data items, right? It depends. It really depends, right? We're headquartered in Singapore. In Singapore, the Monetary Authority of Singapore, for example, has a lot of data. They've made it publicly available, right? You can connect through APIs, get the data, and do a lot of analysis on that. There are some governments where not too much data is publicly available, right? Now, to the extent that data may not be available, there's always be a suboptimal kind of a decision that you'll end up making, right? But the overall response is if people are talking about it, we already have the data, we already have the tech to process it, understand it, and figure out what really is happening. Now, will it help you make the decision you want to do? I think it'll give you 70% or 60% of what you want to do. At the end of the day, you'll have to use your own brain. AI is not going to help there. When data is insufficient, you have to kind of, at the end of the day, take your own call on what happens after that.
Any questions? Any other questions? If not, I'll just ask something in lines of what Varun just asked. He was also mentioning about context. He talked about cigarette smoking. You know, the word high could have multiple contexts around that smoking concept.
Absolutely.
So how do you, you know?
One of our first customers, Anoop, was Coca-Cola.
Okay.
And of course, when they started in 1880 something, for a very long time, they refused to associate the word Coke with their brand, right? But eventually they figured that people like to use Coke, but not just for Coca-Cola, right? Coke is also cocaine. How do you kind of get the context, right? How do you know that Apple is a brand that I want to track and not the fruit, right?
Correct.
So you can build context around things, right? What we have is advanced Booleans where you could say, I want Apple, which is an entity and not a fruit, right? And there's algo that we already have to figure out that it's an organization, it's a brand, it's an entity and not a fruit. If you wanted to do it from scratch for smoking, yes, you could say, I want to track smoking and put keywords. You could say, I do not want to track certain keywords for sure, right? Apple and fruit, I don't want to track. Apple and iPhone, I want to track, right? So it's possible to create a big Boolean kind of rule, which will help you get the data. Now, there might still be data that kind of flows in, and therefore you might have to create more rules once the data is into your system. But yeah, it's possible to do that. The second way is once the data is into your platform or system, you know, and you're looking at conversation clusters and you see that people are actually talking about something else, you basically find a way to remove those. You say, I don't want these tags, or I don't want these conversations, and the system can learn from there. Right? So the tech has become quite advanced now.
Right. Thank you. Anybody else have any other questions? Sure, Lakshmi.
So, hi, I'm co-founder of Proface, so we are into cybersecurity, right? So I just wanted to know, like, since you're gathering a lot of data and analytics from, different parts of the media and all of that, right? So how do you deal with issues of security and all of that? I mean, so you'll have a lot of compliances, regulations. It's different in different countries, right? So what do you exactly do to address all of those kind of things?
And this question is for Ram, I assume, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I hope the next one will be for Nikita.
Someone asked the right ratio for idli batter at least.
If you're looking for the recipe for idli, I don't think my wife is going to be impressed if I say I made idli. She might be impressed if I make dosa, but not with idli. I think she knows that idli is easier. Coming back to compliance and security, so there are two kinds of data that we have. One, of course, is something that's already publicly available on one of the other platforms, right? The second one is where your customers are trying to reach out. So we have an ORM, online reputation module, or social media customer care, right? Customers are trying to reach out to you through a direct message or something. Those are more private. Information security is really, really important for any company. In the beginning, it looks like something that you can do without because you're not making enough money and maybe it's not a priority. But as you start speaking to bigger customers and government, you realize that this is a mandatory checkbox for them, right? So we work with some of the biggest FMCG companies in the world, and one of the checkboxes is information security. They want to understand what are you doing about it, right? So I think if you're starting up, there's always this thing about, should I really focus on making more money versus spending some money on making sure that I'm actually compliant and there aren't going to be issues, right? We've crossed that journey, but I understand where you're coming from. We are SOC 2 compliant. We are ISO 27001 certified. Information security is absolutely important for us. We want to make sure we're doing that. GDPR, same thing for GDPR as well, right? So depending upon where your customers are and where you're operating, it's definitely an important thing. I think in your own journeys, you need to figure out at what time do you want to kind of make sure that you are checkboxing or all that. You're probably not doing that in the first year unless you're a company that was helping other companies get compliant, right? Yeah, so it's important. At Radarr, we have addressed it to a large extent, and this is something that's we're always monitoring to see what else we need to do in this space. We definitely want to checkbox so that we can continue to work with large enterprises and governments.
Thank you.
Fantastic. I see some hands. Roy, sir. Actually, sir, just give me 1 second because somebody raised the hand in the back. And I was just, while you walk to the mic or somebody walks to you with the mic, I was trying to understand why people are not asking questions, because you have to, gives an impression that people have to get up and walk to the mic to ask the question. It's always better to have somebody pass the mic to the person. Yes, go ahead, please.
I'm George, Dr. George. I would like to ask a question regarding the logistics of garbage management and how we could get, for instance, Kerala clean. We have too much garbage all over, too many weeds. How could we have a system where we could, for instance, again, I don't mean to direct the question at the Singaporean, but Singapore is a clean place. It's a fabulous city, clean. How can we make Kerala that way? That's my focus. And it's a phenomenal opportunity to do that. Garbage management is a billion-dollar business, but it's a mess here in Kerala. How do we solve it?
No, I hate to do this, to put you on the spot about how to manage the garbage problem in Kerala. But have you seen anything when you travel around? I just want to get an opinion.
I mean, I genuinely don't have a great opinion about this topic at all. I don't know where Tamil Nadu and Kerala stand among these two things. I don't want to give a comparison also.
Right.
As a city, I see both cities the same.
We have a lot of garbage. That's what you're saying. All right. Nikita, how's... no, you can just... I know that it's a very tangential question.
I know, but...
But yeah, if you want to address that.
I thought I found Kerala very clean compared to Bangalore.
Okay.
So that's one. But on that topic, I think you've got to start kids really early. I think when you start it in school, start cleanliness with kids in school, at home, I think change will happen there. I don't know. I know you're talking about garbage management, but I'm just talking about the mindset that needs to change right when you're a kid. I don't know if I've answered your question. Sorry.
Sir, I'll come back to that question probably towards the end of this discussion, but I just want to stick to the topics for now. But I'll take 1 minute to answer that question. Roy, sir.
This question is to all the Ati, Ram and
Nikita. Yeah.
How was your funding journey? I know that CAN is one way or other involved with all three of you. Please explain.
Do you want? Okay. I would say this is my second startup. Compared to what I had to go through during my first startup, the second journey is quite simple because it is all about telling a nice story of what you're going to make. And obviously, any company is going to go through pivots. Keeping them informed about those pivots. Obviously, Jimon sitting here, Kamath sitting here have heard at least 3 stories from me. And they invested for the first story, and they invested again for the second story also, which means that they believe in the company and the founder. For me, it was quite easy this time around, even though the whole funding scenario is not great. But for great opportunities, I think he keeps saying, for great stories, there are always people willing to write checks.
Okay, we're just going to sequence for now. When we started the company, we were a services business, and we had an institutional shareholder which opened up a lot of doors from a getting business point of view. Ogilvy was our shareholder from day one. And so as a services company with access to Ogilvy's clients, we found it really easy to get into Fortune 500 clients. At least we were at the table, right? What happened after that depended on how good we were and what they thought about us. We were able to get to $1 million in revenue in the first year, right? So it was fairly remarkable from a services point of view. We did not need to raise money as a services company, right? A lot of us get excited about creating platforms and creating massive scale, and I got excited as well a few years ago. We pivoted from services to platform, but there's value in continuing to provide services, especially if you have customers who keep giving you repeat business. So we went from a phase where we were positive on cash to deliberately messing up all of that and said, let's pivot and become a platform. The journey from services to platform is never easy. If you have to do both at the same time, you are kind of risking your product development, against making your current customers unhappy. You're pulling away your people and resources from developing the product into, fighting fires with what's already there live, delaying your product development. So there are a bunch of things. We went through that phase, and there was a phase where we went from positive to negative. We went through the journey of raising money. Initially, it was, the first round was friends and family, primarily people who believed in us. This was a combination of people in Singapore and India. We did another round later, once we had at least built the original product, and we had a bunch of other people who got in. Everybody's mentioned Kamath, so let me mention Kamath as well. Kamath has been a shareholder of Radarr for several years, and he's been phenomenal, obviously. And we raised some money in 2021. That was the last time we raised money, which was a little over $1 million. So we raised close to $1.7, $1.8 million. And we've consciously, as a B2B company, we've tried to get to a place where we are at break-even. So Q1 of this year, we were at break-even. Q2 and Q3, Anoop, you're asking, it was slightly uncharted territories. We're trying to figure out how the macroeconomy will pan out. We were cautious. The cost did go up because of some external reasons. But we're now back where we are hoping to get back to zero again in next quarter. We're slightly below negative. So it's the money that we've raised in 2 rounds. And if we see, there's definitely value in raising more money, but we also wanted to make sure that we were sustainable and we could be cash positive in the short run.
Nikita.
Yeah, so for us it started with Startup India, and I had Kamath, I'm mentioning your name again. We had him on the panel, and he liked our product, and therefore he brought us to Cannes. We raised some with friends and family, the first round, but the second round was with Cannes, and it wasn't so difficult. I mean, they're serial entrepreneurs, both of them, but it was the first time for us. We had heard horror stories that you have to do 100 pitches before you get your first round, but it wasn't. I think we did about 5, 6, and then we were done. So wasn't so bad. I mean, though the product offering we had was not available, there was nothing like a Me Too product except for Helium having something similar. But it was okay, not as bad as we thought it would be.
So when you started, I'll follow up on his question. Did you bootstrap with your own funds and then went to, you did?
Yes,
okay.
2 years we were bootstrapped, and we were both out of proper corporate jobs, and that's what we did. We put in our money, we built the product and brought it to a good space with our own money. And
Understood. Yeah. So I think all 3 of them were reasonably rich is the answer that I would like to give Roy sir, that they didn't have to go around do 100 pitches before they get the money. They had money, and they started with their own money. Any other questions? Yes, please. Where is that? Ah, okay, go ahead. I don't know, somebody was saying hello. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, okay, sure. Hello. Hi, my name is Smithish Jose. I am from a company called AIVIS. We enable organizations to adapt AI quickly through our cutting-edge AutoML platform. So my question is to the panelists. Anybody can take the question. So we are being into the B2B SaaS space. What would be the better marketing strategy for us? Is it a mix of approach like the traditional as well as the e-marketing technology techniques involved, or what would work in the SaaS space specifically?
Okay, can I take that?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, you're in deep tech.
Yes.
If you're telling companies we can automate your ML process, you have to be a lot more automated. You have to be a lot more deep tech than just using ChatGPT and LLMs. You need to be more foundational in general, right? But I'll come back to your question of marketing. I think the most important thing if you're a B2B SaaS platform is thought leadership, right? If you're seen as a company that is innovating in the space and you have a platform that's cutting edge, people will eventually come to you. So what's worked for us, I can tell you what's worked for us. We keep doing webinars on matters that are important for the industry. We talk about tech, we talk about business, we talk about changing social media landscape, for example, right? We do white papers, we do events where we invite, these are private events where we invite people from the industry to come and talk about things. We did a recent one in both Bangalore and Singapore, right? These are not mass marketing, right? What's really worked for us is not going out and spending a lot of money on Facebook and Google ads. There's value in doing some of those, especially if you're top of funnel and you want people to be able to find out about your product, but it also costs money. So you really need to see, I don't know what journey, where you are in your journey, how much money you have. So we can't really get into recommendations, but it has to be a combination of using money that you have wisely and doing other things which take time and effort, but create good long-term quality content that will help you both from an SEO point of view as well as from a thought leadership point of view.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jimon, you had a question.
The three of you are pretty experienced in this journey by now. I can see that you're shaking your head, but I'm guessing you have an experience backing you up. Many of the investors, when they put money into startups, they look at the investor, they look at the business model, They look at the experience of the people and invest. More often than not, when investments is made into young entrepreneurs, typically there is a very tough journey ahead. What is your advice to these young entrepreneurs to change that and make them more robust in their whole approach to startups?
Yeah. See, for me, the single most variable that I see with most of these young folks also successful, and having seen whatever I have done also over the years, the only one factor that distinguishes those people is the factor called determination. That's a standout factor. I mean, going back to my first company, it had all the ingredients as a recipe for failure. But we still made it through because we were always determined that we'll make it work. And that teaches you to find solutions even when you're pushed to a corner. That teaches you to find customers in a way that you would never think on your own. So that's determination is a factor. If you see someone who's determined to make it work, a person with an attitude that he's never going to give up, probably that's the horse that you should need to bet on.
I would just add, if I was young and I was starting, there are a lot of companies started by really young people who got a lot of funding. Zepto, for example, got funding. There are a lot of others, and there's no dearth of companies started by young entrepreneurs. I was at an event last week in Bangalore, and I saw late 18, 19-year-old guys, 20-year-old guys already funded, right? So it's not that they won't get funded. Determination definitely is important. If I had to do this when I was, with all the experience and knowledge that I now have, if I had to do it again, I would say get an advisor or a mentor, who's gone through this journey. It helps a lot, right? You don't want to make all the mistakes. Some mistakes is fine, but there's no point in making 100 mistakes when maybe you could make just 10. Your journey will become a lot faster. If you have to give away a bit of equity, do that. It's definitely useful to have somebody who's done it before.
Slightly, I'll just add one bit. I've been attending a few of these mixer events in Bangalore. They have a lot of them there. And a lot of young entrepreneurs you get to meet. I think what I noticed with most of them is some of them are totally fearless, They don't just care. They just have to get it right. And that's fantastic to see. So I don't know, it has to be in you to be so fearless and fearless of whether to make it or not make it, but just go for it, that's it.
I guess we have come to the end of the session. I'm glad that slowly people started asking questions. There was one more guy who wanted to ask, but unfortunately, maybe we can do it on the sidelines. I'll make 2 comments and wind up. Thank you for the wonderful insights. Dr. George, we recently conducted a program called Huddle Global in Kovalam, in which the entire waste management was done by one company called Urban Trash, which is again a startup company. It was done seamlessly well, the whole process, which means that if it is done in a contained environment or a regulated environment, very easily you can solve this problem. But when you mix it, like you rightly said, it's a large economic activity that is happening out there as part of waste management. When you mix it with the other socio-economic factors, it becomes a little complex. It's not that we don't have the technology. It's not that we don't know how to do it. It's just that there is so much of these external factors at play that nobody wants to get it done right. I think that is so. It has to become a political movement with a solid, and I think government has started to do that yet recently, and we'll see how that progresses. The second thing that I wanted to say, I had Dr. Shashi Tharoor say out loud that, can we have 50 high net worth individuals of Kerala set aside $1 million for the startup ecosystem of Kerala, which will give me a corpus of around $50 million. So very soon, I'll be coming after each and every one of you, asking you to write a check of $1 million just to help. And it's not just for the return on investments. I mean, I know, Kamath will disagree with me here, but I think you should do it also for the fun of doing it once in a while. And great things could come out of it. Thank you so much for a patient listening at like 6 o'clock on a Saturday evening. And thank you for a great session, all of you. Thank you so much.